So last year I tried to get rid of as many of the Tree of Heaven saplings as I could, which are the preferred host of the spotted lanternfly. Both the Tree of Heaven and the spotted lanternfly are invasive species here in Maryland. Specifically, the Tree of Heaven releases a toxin into the ground that makes it difficult for other plants to grow. You can see this particular pine trees that we were trying to grow here from last year. They will not grow comfortably, not even the red cedar, which isn't actually a cedar tree, but it's a juniper. They don't like to grow next to these. Last year, all of the trunks of the trees that I could see were just covered in spotted lanternflies. This year, there are significantly reduced spotted lanternflies, probably adults, that is, probably about 1/10 of what there was last year. So these are the spotted lanternflies hanging out on the trunks of the Tree of Heaven. And if you go up, you can see you just keep going up. They're just all the way up. It's quite an infestation. I'm gonna go over here. This tree that you're looking at here is dead, but it is not a Tree of Heaven. Sorry to say, I'm not sure what that tree was, but you can see the difference in the bark. If you look at the Tree of Heaven, it's very smooth. This is a rough bark. Now, if we keep going over here, you'll find another Tree of Heaven, and it's, I can't get a good view, but the, there you see it now. The trunk is home to lots of the spotted lanternfly adults. And we're gonna go on over here. More spotted lanternflies on this guy. So there's just a huge number of their preferred hosts in this woodland area at the base of our home. And there are some other really nice trees. Like, you can see the leaves here. These leaves are the tulip tree. They are good for pollinators. They're the tallest trees native to Maryland. They're about 200 feet when they're fully grown. Stunningly beautiful trees. We would love to keep them, but they may not survive because of the toxin from the, and you can see here's another tulip tree. You know it because it looks very similar to the five-fingered maple leaf, but this has 4 fingers. And then I'm gonna scroll out here, and you can see this one also has those classic 4 fingers. This is another tulip tree. Tulip trees are really beautiful, and those 3 tulip trees are undoubtedly in danger because of their proximity to, now you can see these saplings here. These are the Tree of Life saplings. These, I cleared everything out last autumn, so these 6 or 7 foot saplings have grown up just this summer, just in the last 6 months or so. Really aggressively growing. This tree here with the naked branches, this is a dead Tree of Heaven that I tried to cut down last year. It wasn't a particularly big trunk, but it was still bigger than what I had the capacity to cut. You can see on the ground some of the Tree of Heaven that I did cut down last year. And then you can see over here another dead tree. Not sure what it was, but again, it's the toxin in the ground from all of these Tree of Heaven trees that is killing the forest around it. So I'm gonna get in closer here. There's some more Tree of Heaven, bigger trees back here. Again, you can see all those spotted lanternfly. These are the adults. The nymphs, as far as I know, are pretty well gone for the year. And again, back in here in the woodland, you can see this dead tree. The trees around the spotted lanternfly preferred host are dying. Get some, yeah. And take a closer look and see those adults hanging out on the, now what they do is they eat the sap. So that is their preferred host tree as well as their meal. You can see some more of the saplings here towering over me, but look at this. This guy is not much bigger around than my arm. Really tiny little trunk that's just growing up here and just producing a huge amount of foliage, catching the sun and the sunlight. When you look at this collection of trees from a distance, you can see that the foliage from these tree of life, the invasive species, they are catching more of the sunlight than the other trees that grow out broader and wider, and they catch more. I'm going to go up above that guy and you'll see this other really super tall tree here. This is another tulip tree that appears to be doing pretty good. And then behind it is this thin tree here is a black locust, and it's not doing well. Part of it fell down in a storm. It looks like it is basically dying. And we have some other trees in the yard. We have birch trees, maple trees, but we're really hoping to get rid of these invasive trees as well as their invasive insects so that we can make this forest area really healthy, and it won't have the toxin in the soil. It's worth noting that the black locust tree that is dying over here is part of a species that does nitrogen fixation. What that means is it has a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria in the soil that helps it pull nitrogen not just out of the soil but out of the air, and it puts nitrogen back into the soil. So this tree might be sort of the antidote to the poison that is being added into the forest in our backyard by the tree of heaven, which you're seeing right here, the foliage, as well as those insects, the spotted lanternfly, which together as a set, those two, the tree and the insect, are trying to kill anything else in the forest that will prohibit their growth or inhibit their growth.